Sorry, Paul.
We're back.
We're back. That's okay. I can just edit this out and put the two videos together, so it's not a big deal. Hey guys, sorry. I wasn't watching the time we were talking to. But that's okay because I can use the two videos. I'll just put a little thing up that we had technical difficulties, but I'll be able to mesh them together on my editing system. All right. Sorry guys, we had technical difficulties, but we're gonna jump back into where we left off. We didn't have too much left. We were on countries for Epcot pavilions, I believe. But I think I'm just gonna stroll on to my next question because I think everybody kind of answered that. But this is kind of a big one. With the changes Epcot is getting, examples like less educational attractions and more character-driven rides. Do you think that Walt Disney's original image of Epcot, do you think they're honoring that? Or if they are, or if they're not, where do you think they see this going? Like by the time the 50th anniversary happens in 2021, what is Epcot going to look like? What kind of feel are they doing?
Well, I personally, I think earlier on when you mentioned, when we were talking about the World Showcase pavilions and you said about them being dated, obviously Epcot is supposed to be a world of tomorrow, so to speak.
Right.
And I think it's a very dated view of what tomorrow is going to be, and it's almost like we've passed what Disney feel like tomorrow should be. It seems to just be a lot of space types of things in my eyes. Now, Spaceship Earth's got to stay there. Obviously, that's a staple of.
Oh.
I think so. I don't think you can get rid of Spaceship Earth.
Swear to God, if they touch Spaceship Earth.
Huh?
If they touch Spaceship Earth, it would be a real
boycott.
But
what I do think is that Disney isn't doing enough to look into almost technologies that are available. At other parks, you've got coasters that are integrating virtual reality, and it's that type of thing that I think Disney should be looking at. They should be looking at the technologies of the future now. What is the technologies of the next 20 years, and incorporating that into attractions. They've kind of got an idea. Obviously, they updated Test Track. Obviously, they've gone with the interactive idea of building your own car and looking at this, that, and the other. Mission Space, the technology behind that as an actual attraction is very not high tech as such, but it's an experience that you won't get really anywhere else. And I just feel like that they really need to be looking at what the future of attractions are at theme parks and getting in there before other parks, before the Six Flags parks and Universal, before they start really using this technology. Get in there, get it out there, get people using this technology of tomorrow, as opposed to saying this is what tomorrow looked like in 1960. But that's my little bit.
I don't think they can really like stay true to Walt's vision of the future and like vision for Epcot and stuff. But that's because they can't because that's not what kids want to go do these days. Like if your family going to Disney, your kids aren't going to want to sit there and sit through a lot of like educational stuff. They're not going to want to sit through Living with the Land. We're in a world now where our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter every day. So they want something. You have to design rides and stuff that's going to entertain them 100% throughout. And I think that's the best way to do that is kind of incorporate characters and names and faces and sound and everything that they recognize. So that's my take on it. I don't think Disney is purposefully moving away from Walt's vision for Epcot, but I think from a business standpoint, it's the best way to go. And I think that's why they're doing it.
But okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think though, I understand that they need to use characters and things that are entertaining to kids these days for them to connect with things to have them learn. But take Frozen, for example. Do you think that they put enough of the Norwegian culture? Like, they could have done a ride with using Elsa or whatever, but putting in more traditions or cultural things or things to that land in that ride. But I didn't see any of that.
Nothing to do with.
I think they could, and I think, like if they did like a Coco ride, I think they would do that. I think the big problem with the Frozen ride is they were really pressed for time. Like Frozen, like knocked it out of the park. All of a sudden, and then we're coming to the theme park and we're looking for Frozen stuff, and they didn't have anything to give them, so they kind of just ripped Maelstrom out and like threw something in there, and it was the quickest thing they could. I think now they would definitely take like more care into how they theme the rides and still make them educational while they're entertaining and have IPs as a part of them and stuff like that. So.
Okay.
But as far as Epcot goes, I've always really thought of it as almost two main areas. You've got Epcot and then you've got the World Showcase.
Right.
If you discount the World Showcase, Epcot doesn't have character theming. You've got the seas with Nemo, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I've never really.
Well, there was Circle of Life that's closing now, but that had the Lion King in it. I guess not really much.
It's not really a part that I would go to.
Right. No.
For character interaction.
Mm-hmm.
It was always for me when I was going. It was always a case of going to see what attractions are there, but it wasn't driven by I want to go on this attraction because it's linked to this film.
Right.
Even things like Figment. Now, obviously, Figment is a character that really became as big as he did through Epcot. It wasn't like there was a Figment movie and everyone saw that and so everyone went on the Figment ride at Epcot. It was the other way around, really. It was a case of the attraction building a character that then even people now buy merchandise, and I'm not even sure if Figment's still really up and running it. I know they were doing a lot of changes with the Imagination Land.
It's still there. It's just not very popular.
Not as prevalent.
No.
I still love Figment.
I know they need to bring back the original ride or like a better version of it. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I miss the Dreamfinder.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Adam made a good point when he said it's a business, and so number one, that's they're trying to make money, and I think it almost seems like they're not super confident in the original ideas anymore. So they feel like they need to tie them to an IP to make people interested, which is kind of a bummer. And, I guess I don't have a problem with them bringing in characters or bringing in thrill rides. I just wish that there was a way that they could better mesh that with the educational aspects that made Epcot what it was originally.
I honestly think if educational is done right, kids will want to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you make something fun enough, then kids will do it.
Yeah.
And if they're building an attraction and saying, well, children aren't interested in this, then I'm sorry, that's your fault. If children aren't interested in the attraction that you've built, then you need to change it. It's you can't say, the kids aren't as switched on nowadays, and the attention spans are too short, so we're not going to do this, that, and the other. Get something that grabs their attention. Get something that puts the phones back in the pockets and puts the iPads back in the bags.
Well, think about
and gets them.
You have one of the biggest rides at Magic Kingdom that is an original ride, but that has spawned a ton of movies that most people won't even realize is educational, is Pirates of the Caribbean. It is a history ride. You don't realize that while you're going through it. But the way that they show the Spanish time, and it's not as fantasy or adventure as you think it is. A lot of kids learn for the first time about pillaging and like what pirates were all about and the Spaniard history of it all. It can be done, and it can be done well. And the important part is for kids to learn without knowing that they're learning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I think that's why Coco was so great. That movie, kids learned so much from that movie there were so many little hints in this and learning all about Dios de los Muertos, and I bet you they had no idea that they just went through a giant cultural lesson and a giant geography lesson. Put that into the ride, perfect.
And to go back to what I said earlier, Inside Out, how brave a film is that to be a kid's film and tackle issues that really most children won't know exist. But if they start having feelings, it's something that could be related. Someone could sit down with them and say, okay, you're feeling sad, so let's look at this film and we'll explore what that feeling is and why you're feeling that and what can help and that type of thing, really. Yeah. I think it's very brave when they are able to educate children, right? I just think that me personally, like saying, oh well, we can't really do that anymore. I don't believe it. I don't believe that there isn't people at Disney in those Imagineer offices that can't come up with attractions that will make children want to go to Epcot for the day. They want to go and see this, that, and the other and learn.
Do you guys think maybe they're purposely doing that? Like, even though they're putting in IP characters like Frozen and Coco, those were movies that a lot of people went to go see. Like, you're a huge Pixar fan because those are Pixar movies cross generations. Like, you can go as an adult, you can go as a child, you can go without children and still love those movies just as much as the children love them. So do you think possibly, and especially with them putting in more pavilions because Food and Wine has been so popular, and that's very much an adult event. Like, you go, I mean, kids can go to it, but you're drinking around the world, you're trying food from all different kinds of places. You know what I mean? They have to kick people out sometimes because they practice too much in adult activities, beverages and things like that when you're down there. So do you think maybe they're trying to turn it more into an adult park? Is that too far-fetched? Or gearing it more to an adult? Because if you're taking all the educational rides, you're throwing in more thrill rides, and then you're adding in more pavilions for more restaurants, for more that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like it seems like the opposite. Like, I think they're making it more geared towards kids, bringing in all the extra characters and like adding Frozen into the World Showcase. Doesn't really belong there, but it's like they want to gear it more towards kids and make kids more interested in it and this and that. And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, kids should want to learn about different cultures, and Frozen isn't that. And so, if anything, it's taking away from what it was meant to be.
I think Adam nailed that when he said that it was shoehorned in. It was a way of getting something. I don't think for 1 minute Disney realised the hit they were going to have with Frozen. I think it took everyone by surprise, and they weren't prepared for it. As soon as it went off like it did, they were just, right, how can we cash in on, not cash in, that probably sounds wrong. How can we tap into this film franchise for as cheaply as possible? Because I'm sure that they didn't have to change a lot of the theme in things like the queue areas and things like that. Which
the queue area is awesome. I will give it that. The detailing in that queue line is really cool. Like how they made like the little wood house, like the workshop and stuff like that, and you go in. I mean, I guess there's some learning in there in the line, if that makes any sense. Like when you go in, like the architecture is very much that vintage Norwegian style, and you get to see what village life was like, maybe.
I love the idea of the showcase pavilions generally have staff from the area that they are. So obviously the United Kingdom pavilion has people from the United Kingdom working there. Just love the idea of all these Norwegians all of a sudden being asked what Arendale's like when these kids turn up to go and see the attraction and assume that it's a real place. And
So
yeah, I do like the Frozen ride. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think it's really cute. I think that it was well done. Like the animatronics are great, whatever, but it doesn't fit at all. Like I don't think it belongs there. Put it in Magic Kingdom or put it somewhere else. It doesn't belong in the World Showcase.
So where is Epcot going? What is the vision? Like, what is Epcot? What is it going to be in 2021? Does anybody have an idea? Because I don't think Disney even knows.
I think what he's trying to do is turn it into a park that's like for everybody, but I think any Disney park is really for anybody, but they're
Right.
trying to like force it almost like, okay, there's stuff for kids, there's stuff for adults. And I think like Epcot had like stuff for kids and had stuff for adults, but now they're trying to like almost like mix them together and like, okay, well, World Showcase was mostly an adult thing, but let's sprinkle some rides in here to make it more kid friendly and vice versa. And I think like adding like turning Ellen's Energy Adventure into a roller coaster and like throwing the Ratatouille ride in France. It's almost like they're just trying to turn it into another
Magic.
or like, it's almost like the same way Hollywood Studios is going, where it's just like IPs everywhere. Like
Yeah,
I feel
but
like
that's okay because that's Hollywood, though. That's
right. I'm totally okay with where that's going because it's just
it's supposed to be IPs. Like that's the point of Hollywood Studios, right?
Yeah, but I feel like at the same time, Epcot and Hollywood Studios are going to look like almost the same park by the time they're
right, because they're all like these thrill movies and thrill rides.
Yeah.
See, as much as I love Guardians of the Galaxy and cannot wait for that that attraction, it doesn't live at Epcot. There's no way that lives there. That is just a case of we have the space. What are we going to put in it? Let's put Guardians of the Galaxy there.
Now, is it just me, or should Guardians of the Galaxy have gone to Hollywood Studios and then roller coaster, instead of being in Magic Kingdom, should have gone to Epcot? Because futuristic thing. Like if you're going to put IPs in there and you need an IP for the Future Pavilion or Future World, why the heck would you put? That's another thing. Like, where are they going with these parks? Why would you put Tron in Magic Kingdom?
Right. Yeah, I agree. They should have put the Guardians of the Galaxy in where Rock and Roller Coaster is, because that's, I mean, how relevant is Aerosmith right now, honestly?
Right. And it's not very Hollywood. I mean, it's music, but Hollywood's about movies, I would imagine more.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor somewhere that the Aerosmith or Rock and Roller Coaster was going to be turned into a Monsters Inc. ride. I don't know how true that is. I've seen that a couple places, but I don't think that's nothing that's been confirmed. But I would not be a fan of that.
That would belong at Magic Kingdom. Monster Inc. because they already have the Monster Inc. Laugh Factory. I would imagine more that they would turn, if they're going to put a roller coaster, they would put that there and get rid of the Laugh Factory. Does anybody else think like, is Disney World confused about what it's doing in certain things? Because Tomorrowland in itself, what is that going to look like with a super futuristic roller coaster, but you have a 1950s version of what the future looks like in Tomorrowland?
See, again, it's Tomorrowland. It's just space. It's like Disney's version was just that when it came to the year 2000, it was all just going to take off space, and that was going to be it. Now, obviously, we don't intend on doing that, which is why I think Tomorrowland just looks. I mean, they've just updated the Speedway, the Speedway attraction there. Obviously, Stitch is coming or going. We don't know yet. Tomorrowland is probably my least favourite part of Magic, and for that reason, it seems so dated. And then we talk about Tron. I can't even see why they would put anything in the spot that Tron's supposed to be going in. It just seems so like we've got a bit of Greenland. Just chuck it behind there. It'll be all right. But
I agree. Personally, I love Tomorrowland just because like nostalgia and personal reasons. But I definitely understand where you're coming from about it not being the best part of Disney World. It's definitely like the land in the Magic Kingdom that needs the most work. Even when you ride the Carousel of Progress, unless to be updated. Where the old grandma's playing the VR and he's talking to the oven or the microwave or whatever. But that hasn't even been updated in forever, and that's like the late 80s. Like it's supposed to be like the future, but
We're
it's
talking about laser discs and car phones and like
it's ridiculous. So I think Disney set themselves up for trouble when they came up with the idea for Tomorrowland. And Walt Disney was like, well, we're going to have a land that's all about the future. I don't think Walt had that. Well, we're going to be here for a while. The future
and
does
it's like,
change.
I mean, it's impossible to keep up with technology. So it makes they that idea. Okay, it's the 1950s idea of the future. Fine, but they're not sticking with that concept. And even like Heidi, like you were saying, Monsters, they have the laugh floor there now, but that doesn't really make sense either. Like, does Monsters have to wait tomorrow? Like, and the Speedway doesn't make any sense. I thought they were originally supposed to put Tron where the Speedway was or something, but now it's going just behind the Speedway. I don't know. It's a mess. I don't think they really know what they're doing with that land right now at all.
Disney definitely knows that the whole Tomorrowland thing is an issue, because that's why, like, when they built Disneyland Paris in when was it, 92 or something, I think Disneyland Paris opened. That's why it's Discoveryland instead of Tomorrowland. They kind of make whatever they want it to be and aren't constricted to, okay, well, it has to be about the future. So they like know it's an issue, and I think they're trying to figure out ways to combat it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think my internet connection may be a little off. So everybody's faces are kind of going into like slow motion. I don't know if this is in real time or not, or if I sound really delayed. It may be me. So I think I'm gonna end it here. I think that was a really good conversation. I think that was good. So I think we're gonna end it here. I want to thank everybody who came in and saw our first episode. This was really fun. We could probably go on for 3 more hours if my computer wasn't acting stupid and if we actually had time, but we do have jobs that we have to get back to in the morning. So I'm going to say good night to everybody. And does anybody else want to say anything or add in anything? No. Okay. See you later.
No, all good.
Good night. Bye.